Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Maria Parham, editorial page editor for the Arizona Daily Star. Tonight on AZ Illustrated Metro, we'll find out what this holiday shopping season looks like for retailers and consumers. We'll also find out how a nonprofit agency is helping prevent young offenders from returning to the juvenile court system.
In the future, if I want to have my own garden or make, irrigation systems for somebody, I know what to do.
I just want them to find happiness and peace. And education comes in all kinds of packages.
We'll visit a historic trading post in northern Arizona.
We do get a few of the visitors are the local, the Navajo people that will come in and say, I have been here in quite some time and I wanted to bring my kids and show them. So the generation's continuing.
And then head south to explore the history of a baseball stadium in Bisbee.
During the early part of the 20th century, we had English immigrants playing soccer, rugby, and cricket on this field every Sunday afternoon in the wintertime. It's been used for Wild West shows, rodeos, professional boxing and wrestling matches.
But first, a look at today's top stories.
Police say 3 sisters were imprisoned in their Tucson home for up to 2 years. The girls, ages 17, 13, and 12, were freed Tuesday after 2 of them ran to a neighbor's house. Police Chief Roberto Villaseñor says it's one of the worst such cases he has seen. Villaseñor says the girls were kept apart from one another, were fed sparingly, and could bathe only infrequently. The girls' mother, Sophia Richter, and their stepfather, Fernando Richter, are in jail, charged with kidnapping and child abuse. The police chief says officers are gleaning information from a journal kept by the 17-year-old detailing the ordeal she and her sisters endured. Another revelation today from Phoenix regarding child abuse reports. Officials say thousands of pages of documents from child abuse cases were found in an alley next to a trash container. It's not known if the confidential documents are related to the 6,000 reports of child abuse that went uninvestigated by the state for 4 years. The official who oversees Child Protective Services has released a plan to clear up the cases, but legislators say they're skeptical about its timelines. Visitors to the Festival of Lights in Tucson's Winter Haven neighborhood are being asked to donate canned food. The festival will be a collection point for non-perishable items and cash donations for the Community Food Bank of Southern Arizona. The Festival of Lights will be December 14th through 28th. And that's a look at tonight's headlines.
Black Friday is just days away, and a small but growing number of stores are getting a head start by opening Thanksgiving Day. What's the outlook for retailers and consumers as we head into the official holiday season? Joining me in the studio to preview the shopping trends is Anita Bhappu, an associate professor for retailing at the University of Arizona. Anita, thanks so much for joining us today. Start by summarizing what last year's holiday shopping season was like for retailers so we have some perspective to compare.
Well, last year we saw some stores opening on Thanksgiving Day, and that was actually the big issue or topic of the holiday season start. And in particular, we had a boycott that was organized by Walmart employees and in direction of trying to get consumers to stay away from that early start around concerns for employees and their families. But we didn't see that make any difference on the retail sales that were reported both on Thanksgiving Day and then over the holiday period. And consumers were out in a large number doing their shopping earlier than later in the season. And I think that trend has continued with respect to this year as well, where we're seeing higher number of reported consumers starting shopping for the holidays earlier in the season, or quite frankly, earlier in the year. So well in advance of what we call the holiday season.
So what was it like for retailers as far as the success of it last year?
Sales were relatively good. I think there were modest gains over, the year previous, and we were still in the Great Recession, so to speak. And I think predictions for this year are not much different in that we'll expect a modest increase in retail sales, but there are always winners and losers underneath that larger number. And I think that's where some of the interesting data as far as retailers looking at their categories and then in the various areas that they particularly play in among the market.
So how much of the economy's recovery and the slowness of it is playing into the whole holiday shopping and how much people are spending?
Well, interestingly, I think I've heard several reports that suggest in advance of this year's holiday shopping season that the drop in gas prices, if you will, is providing an added stimulus to the shoppers this season. So we're expecting gas prices to continue dropping, which means the average consumer will have more money to spend on other things other than gas. And the prices of products that retailers market have not seen much change. So we see very little inflation in those numbers as well because they're not paying additional costs with respect to shipping and logistics, as you can imagine. So it looks like, at least compared to last year, we should see as much demand. And there are different, predictions around that. So what we're seeing is essentially a prediction of about a 4% increase in overall retail sales. But when it comes to each holiday shopper, we're seeing a slight decrease in the amount of money that consumers are predicted to spend on a per individual basis. So we were at about $755 roughly last year, and we're looking at more like $740 per holiday shopper this year as the total spend on holiday gifts and so forth.
Well, what can consumers expect on pricing then? You said there's not much inflation for last year, but there's obviously a lot of competition between retailers, and everywhere you look, there's a sale.
And I think that's what you're going to see. You're seeing a lot of competitive activity, and consumers in this case are the beneficiaries of that. So we're seeing a lot of pressure on pricing and, quite frankly, a lot of promotion in the marketplace right now. And those promotions are starting earlier. So there's a lot being promoted this coming weekend, if not already this week, with respect to online sales, but just getting the consumer into the stores earlier than the traditional start of the holiday shopping being Black Friday. And that's actually a reflection, I think, of the changes we're seeing in consumer habits coming out of the Great Recession. So what we're seeing is actually that consumers are starting to buy their holiday gifts earlier in the year. They're trying to spread over several months the cost of those items that they're purchasing, and they're actually purchasing with real cash via debit card or cash payment as opposed to credit payment. So they're planning more, and it appears that they're budgeting with having those dollars in hand when they make the buy as opposed to paying for them after the purchase. All of those things being good with respect to financial habits, if you will, of consumers. So maybe we've learned something.
Yes. Now, one thing that I think always worries shoppers this time of year is, will I buy it today and the price goes down, or somebody's going to have a better price? When you look at trends, do prices tend to change a lot between Thanksgiving as we get closer to Christmas and retailers are really trying to get the last buck out of everybody?
I don't know offhand a lot of statistics regarding whether pricing during the holidays is higher on a per item in advance of the sales. So the net price to the consumer is the same. I don't know data of that offhand, but what we do see is the following. We see consumers more and more price matching, retailers offering price matching as a way to, alleviate that concern.
Anita, thanks very much for being here today.
Thank you so much.
According to a recent report from the Justice Policy Institute in Washington, D.C., Arizona is one of 5 states that cut juvenile confinement by more than half between 2001 and 2010. Those states saw no resulting increase in juvenile crime during that time period. We've reported on the strategies the juvenile court is using to reduce those numbers, but the agency also relies on help from others. One local nonprofit is offering an alternative training program for juvenile offenders in Pima County. Mitchell Riley brings us this story.
On a clear November morning, 7 teenagers arrive at a lush 5-acre property in northwest Tucson. It's week 4 of a hands-on 9-week program called Youth Achieving Resource Development Skills, or YARDS. The teens huddle in the shade of a fruit orchard and eat breakfast burritos.
All right, how you guys do? Pretty good?
Pretty cold.
Pretty cold? It's gonna warm up.
Sofia Ancasa is a volunteer coordinator for YARDS. She runs a quick refresher on the previous week's material.
What's the difference between dirt and soil?
Dirt's on your hands.
Dirt is a displaced soil, right?
This in-the-field approach to teaching is one of the central features of the YARDS program. This day's session is led by José Cano. Today, he will teach them about irrigation systems.
Okay. Well, good morning. It's completely different when you ask, okay, show me how you do it. I always wanted to forget a little about the books and do it practical. You use one finger to hold it and then go around.
Cano is an expert with more than 30 years of experience in the nursery and landscaping business.
The difference is in drip system, you bring the water to the root system.
His journey has led him from the University of Chihuahua in Mexico, where he graduated with a degree in fruit science, to his current role as maintenance supervisor for Pima County Natural Resources, Parks and Recreation. This property is his and serves as a living classroom for the workshop. The students here are also on a journey. They're juvenile offenders who were recommended for the YARDS program by their probation officers. YARDS is a joint effort of the Pima County Juvenile Court System and Tucson Clean and Beautiful, a local nonprofit that works to beautify the community through education, sustainability, and cleanup programs.
He gets them to work together, too.
Joan Lionetti is the executive director of Tucson Clean and Beautiful. She wrote the proposal for the YARDS program in 2006. It was funded and launched in January of 2010.
The primary mission, I would say, is to give these kids an opportunity to reinforce self-esteem and to make them feel that they're the architects of their life. And, you know, if you're building a house and you've made a mistake on it, you change it, or you're going to live with it.
And I got it right here.
Each of us has a second chance, regardless of where we are in life or what we're doing in life. And I think it's very important that these kids aren't so hard on themselves, where they think, oh, I screwed up once, and what's the use?
Lionetti says the program aims to reduce recidivism. The juvenile court system sees this effort as a viable and proactive way to help these young people, one that looks beyond their transgression and to their potential.
And so reinforcing these kids in looking at who they can be, what their values are, becoming just basically aware of their environment where they live, trees. All these kids are looking at trees now.
We don't need the other colors. Right?
Among the trees and in the garden, José Cano is patient as he shares his knowledge, coaxing and cajoling along the way.
I want this one to look real nice. When I see them, I just see students and somebody who is wanting to learn. Go around. I see them like I see my kids, you know, I see my grandkids. You know, this place is great for them.
Participating in the YARDS program is voluntary, but requires a commitment of time, effort, and focus. And 9 Saturdays in a row when many teenagers are sleeping in. It's not all a bed of roses.
Coming at 7 in the morning. Yeah, waking up early.
Anisa is 16 years old and says the early start is worth it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I'll learn something every week, and it just amazes me. Like, really? I never knew that. And then to know it, it's cool.
No, put it right here.
For my knowledge to know what to do, or in the future, if I want to have my own garden or make, irrigation systems for somebody I know what to do.
Being the only girl in the group, I knew that she needed a little more attention. And pretty soon, after she started doing the first thing, later on she was more involved. Jesus, he was always the first one to say, I'll do it. And that's what I like too. I need a volunteer to put that Teflon tape on this one, please.
I got detained from the street to juvie.
Yeah, so you can grab this one.
But from juvie, they gave me a chance. My probation officer, Hector Zuniega, he offered the program. I accepted his offer. He said it was a good program. I would learn a lot, and he was right.
To the right?
Jose, he's a good teacher. I mean, he cares for us. I hope I could see him again,
That care that Jesus senses is genuine, and Cano says he gets as much in return as he gives.
And I feel very, very lucky to have the chance to teach some of my experience, especially to these kids. Okay? They are the ones who are receiving the idea, and I hope that they are thinking about, okay, you know what, I'm going this direction right now. From now on, I'm going to try to go this.
The idea of the YARDS program transcends landscaping and points its participants down a new path. They learn life skills like stress management, teamwork, good nutrition, parenting, and how to interview for a job.
I just want them to find happiness and peace. And education comes in all kinds of packages.
With this graduating class, 67 kids will have gone through the program since 2010. The employment training specialist at Pima County Juvenile Courts says graduates of the YARDS program have lower rates of recidivism.
I'm trying to do something good because this program has taught me a lot, the YARDS program, that if you mess up, there's a chance. I mean, that's why I'm trying my best. But I've been taught a lot of things that will help me move on.
All right, so we all set.
Anissa has plans for her future, too. Plans that point west.
Oh my God. I want to move to San Diego to go to college there to study marine biology. I'm really into the ocean.
Lionetti says she sees proof every day that YARDS work is bearing fruit,
resulting in being a good citizen for the community at whatever level. And it doesn't always have to do with money and power. It has to do with our community, and we all belong to it, and we all need to participate in it. And basically to be a participant versus a spectator.
And then we need one in the center to cover.
Joan Lionetti finds her own reward in every moment of the 9-week session.
All of it. Every week that the kids show up, my heart pounds. Yes, you're gonna do it, kids. Yes, all of it.
Everybody did a good job, thank you.
Thank you. She said you can tell the show.
Rain and snow made one of the busiest travel days of the year that much messier as millions of Americans hit the road for Thanksgiving.
The Obama administration announced a delay in another key component of the health care law. Small businesses will have to wait a year to sign up online for federal insurance exchanges.
Plus, take some sweet corn, tomato sauce, tuna fish, and make a massive sculpture in a competition aimed at boosting holiday food drives.
The moment that template comes down and you can actually see the light from the other side of the arch, that's the moment of, yes, it works.
Those are just some of the stories we're covering on tonight's PBS NewsHour.
Listen to Morning Edition's Renee Montaigne reminiscing with her longtime producer about their world travels.
Remember when we went bicycling in Kabul and you ended up trying to race these boys and ended up hitting a car?
And breaking the bike.
Well, not really.
We'll kick off StoryCorps' National Day of Listening on the next Morning Edition from NPR News.
Sitting next to the intersection of two quiet roads in northeastern Arizona is a bit of history. In this next story, Christopher Conover takes us to visit the Hubbell Trading Post. It is a registered National Historic Site and has been in use for more than 130 years in the small Arizona town of Ganado.
Hi. Hi. Food fills the shelves and refrigerated areas, but this isn't your typical grocery store. The Hubbell Trading Post opened in 1878 in Ganado, Arizona, and is the oldest operating trading post on the Navajo Reservation in northeastern Arizona.
John Lorenzo Hubbell came from Albuquerque. He was very familiar with the Navajo language and was invited by Ganado Mucho to come to Ganado. Nearby is the wash. So he invited Hubbell to come to the wash and start trading.
When the trading post opened, the Navajo people had just returned to their traditional homelands from the 10-year span known to the Navajo as the Long Walk. That was their forced exodus to a reservation in New Mexico. At the height of its operation, Hubbell Trading Post was a center for more than commerce.
There are personal stories, family stories, stories about trading, stories about the wagon drive, the freight wagon, the sheep, the wool, Navajo weaving, Navajo design, trade, how to use money, how to learn the Navajo language, what it was like to live here, before people probably started using calendars, clocks, paved roads, electricity, all of that.
The Hubbell family lived at the trading post for generations. They had garden plots and a working farm. If you go to Hubbell today, you'll find that farm still in operation. Beyond the fields, you'll find sheep spending their days waiting to be sheared so their wool can be turned into traditional Navajo rugs. And those rugs are sold inside the trading post, along with just about everything else.
We try to provide some necessities that's required or needed, but primarily it's food, and then we do have some hardware, a lot of the like lanterns, but the primary visitors is the non-native visitors.
However, native visitors still do come by Hubbell.
We do get a few of the visitors are the local, the Navajo people that will come in and say, I have been here in quite some time and I wanted to bring my kids and show them. So the generation's continuing.
Lyle is continuing the Hubbell Trading Post tradition of education and cultural exchange. He's working the register to help pay his way through a local branch of DNA College where he's getting a business degree. The overarching story at Hubbell is a place where people from different cultures made it work.
There are two cultures that came together, and then later on there would be a lot of cultural exchange about how people learn from each other, how people teach each other, how to create a way to communicate.
Bisbee's Warren Ballpark is the oldest baseball stadium in Arizona and one of the oldest in the country. It's been a hub of life in Cochise County for more than 100 years and is a major part of the area's past and present. Zach Ziegler tells us about the historic park.
In 1877, U.S. Army Scouts found traces of copper in Cochise County's Mule Mountains. The mineral was in high demand due to expanding use of electricity, so Americans began moving to the county to work in Copper Queen Mine. And those new miners flocked to the town of Bisbee, along the steep hills of those mountains. The booming mine's employees needed a place to live and play during their off hours, so the mine's owners decided to build a baseball stadium. In 1909, Warren Ballpark was completed.
And it was built by the Warren Company, which was part of the Calumet, Arizona Mining Company. It was built here because this was the closest to flat ground within a reasonable distance of Bisbee.
The Warren neighborhood became the first planned community in Arizona and was meant for Bisbee's more affluent citizens. The ballpark was a centerpiece in that community and used for more than just baseball.
During the early part of the 20th century, we had English immigrants playing soccer, rugby, and cricket on this field every Sunday afternoon in the wintertime. It's been used for Wild West shows, rodeos, professional boxing and wrestling matches.
But baseball always remained king at Warren Ballpark. It housed a minor league team for the first half of the 20th century. It also housed other events that are relics of baseball's bygone past. Barnstormers would put on exhibition matches as they traveled through on the railroad, and outlaw leagues featured teams made up of players who were banned from the majors.
Several members of the 1919 Chicago White Sox team played here after being banned from professional baseball for fixing the World Series.
Warren Ballpark has been home to some of baseball's biggest names.
So we've had such notable figures on this field as John McGraw, the greatest manager of the American National League and arguably the greatest manager ever, Connie Mack and Honus Wagner, Lou Boudreau, Mel Ott. So far we've identified 16 Hall of Famers that have played, managed, coached, or umpired here.
But not all of Warren Ballpark's history is positive. The Bisbee deportation took place on July 12, 1917. With the United States preparing to enter World War I, the need for copper was skyrocketing. But work at the Copper Queen mine had grinded to a halt because the recently unionized miners were striking over poor conditions. With the impending war causing a need,
1,500 striking miners were rounded up without arrest warrant, without any kind of due process, by a secret posse and marched down from Old Bisbee to Warren Ballpark, where they were detained in these stands.
A train hauling cattle cars was lined up behind Warren Ballpark, and the Phelps Dodge Mining Company gave the miners a choice.
Go back to work right now, no questions asked, or you climb in those side door Pullmans and you get out of town and never come back. 1,182 of those striking miners chose to leave Bisbee forever.
16 hours later, those men ended up in Hermanus, New Mexico, most of them penniless and without their possessions, and banned from the place they called home. Past controversies aside, Warren Ballpark still holds a place in the community. The park was gifted to the Bisbee Unified School District in the 1950s, but high school teams played there long before that.
We've certainly made full use of it. We use it as a baseball stadium, obviously, in the springtime, and currently we use it as our football field on Friday nights.
The city of Bisbee also uses the field for events such as concerts, semi-professional baseball, and an annual vintage baseball tournament. But it is ultimately the responsibility of the school district.
Bisbee Unified School District is the steward of the ballpark, and it's our obligation to preserve it. And it's a lot of work. It's an aging facility, obviously, but we make our best efforts to make it a beauty. It's kind of like a classic car. It's definitely got its needs, and we take care of them the best we can.
The nonprofit Friends of Warren Ballpark help raise funds to restore the facility.
We're a nonprofit group that basically started in 2009 to plan for the ballpark centennial. And then we evolved into a group that is partnering with the school district to promote the history of the ballpark and also to raise funds for projects to make sure the ballpark stays in good condition into the future.
And the Friends of Warren Ballpark say their work is imperative to the Bisbee community.
I think it is very important. It's important to the community. It's becoming more and more of a tourist attraction as well because of its history.
Thanks to the Friends of Warren Ballpark, renovation work, and the school district, the ballpark appears poised to hold its place as a landmark in Bisbee. That means one of the oldest ballparks in Arizona will continue to be used for years to come.
That's our show. To keep up with the latest news and watch the segments from this and other editions of AZ Illustrated, go to our website, azpm.org. I'm Maria Parham. Thanks for watching.